Hello and good day. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make the Lara croft belt. The first step is that we're going to measure the waist to get the overall measurements, and then I decided to do the upper part of my thigh and right above my knee. And you also need to measure from your waist measurement up until your right above your knee. From your waist to right above your knee is the measurements you also need. And I decided to use some extra duck canvas I have that I needed to get rid of. And first I decided to iron everything out to make sure it was nice and prepped for the patterning I was about to do on it. And then the patterning I did was I basically did 4 1-inch lines. It's been cut on the bias, not this case, but you can see here that it's just 4 lines connected that are 4 inches, and then we're gonna fold it in half again until it looks like bias tape. And in this video, I'm cutting it out. And I would recommend to put the corresponding measurement, if your waist is 27 inches, put waist 27.5 or whatever, just to remember everything. And anyway, I did the lines corresponding first, and then I measured how much I needed for whatever place that was. And I will also link below my yard, because the last one I had broke, and this one has kept up pretty well so far. And then I also ended up adding a little bit extra towards the end, the measurement, like 27 inches plus whatever, so I could have a feature of like a little belt buckle. And this is what it should look like. As you can see in this clip, I'm showing you the 4 lines and then showing you how it's gonna fold over, and then it's gonna fold over again. And now I'm gonna be ironing it. First a fold, and then I fold it in on the other side. So it would basically just be, see, once it's folded in, we're gonna fold in the half, like that, and then iron it down from there and just try to have it meet in the middle. After, later in the video, I ended up cutting a little bit towards the middle so it would be less bulky. And then I folded it in like it would look like on the other side with the size guide, so it would be less bulky and I could just get a better idea overall and feel more secure. And afterwards I decided to try it on with my fabric clips to get an overall idea. All the places that I have a little strip on is where you should have measured. With the extra allowance you added, like the measurement plus whatever, to create a little buckle system, we're gonna find the spots to do the buckles. And I used my old ruler as a guide. And I basically created a little grid system so I could evenly space things out.
Let's not make this any more difficult than it already is.
After that, I ended up using an awl to puncture the holes in.
Okay, what?
My awl came from a bias tape kit.
Okay, I'm not in love with you.
Like, you could always use like a thick ass needle, I guess. Anyway, that's what the strip should look like so far. If you decided to use the little fabric method, and this project could probably go a lot faster if you choose to actually do it in black fabric, because that's what the next step is, painting everything, or finishing up on the entire rest of the grid. The sewing machine didn't look that good, so I ended up using E6000 for this and clipping it afterwards with fabric clips. I'll link mine below. And I ended up using a little E6000 at the end to finish it, since fabric does fray. And use the end of my awl just to smooth everything out. And I also bought a bunch of little silver buckles from Amazon. I'll link those down below too. And they worked out pretty well. And I did the first paint test on the little knife sheath. Oh, and then I also ended up I did E6000 on the ends of all of them in order to finish them in a way. I just didn't want anything to fray, and I had a lot of E6000. And again, this entire project could probably go a lot faster if you actually have the right colors of what you want. I just didn't want to buy any supplies, but I still did. So and then that is what the buckle should look like. You need to puncture a little hole in, like so, in order to be able to use a buckle. And then, yeah, the little flappy thing, you stick it through the hole mark it out first. And then now, the most dreaded part of the entire project, painting everything, because I know I could have skipped a step if I had just decided to get black duck canvas, but I didn't want to spend any money at the time. So we're gonna paint the entire thing using fabric puffy paint. Well, I just used whatever I had left over and I went through the entire bottle. Use an old brush since I did not have any painting brushes, an old makeup brush. I'll also link below the paints I used in this, but this is the most dreaded of the steps. And then I would recommend to put some old paper down. I have to use these old Disney sheets since that's all the crappy paper I had. But put something down so you don't end up staining your table. Yeah, I'm sorry if the little painting was a little bit out of order. Oh yeah, and then paint the strips before you put the buckles in so you don't end up painting the buckles. I ended up doing this really long in the process. Don't be like me. Just get the right color. And during the process I was still doing the gluing and the painting at the same time just to speed everything along as fast as possible. See, first I'm measuring it out. See how much it's going to take up, marking it, and then marking where the center point would be for the little flippy thing, the one that you put the hole in, cutting it out. Then you're going to put the little slider thing in there and meet where you originally measured for it, and then sew it or glue it together. Now, make sure there's still some mobility or make the hole bigger if it wasn't as big as it needed to be. Cut off the extra fabric. Met up in the back where you marked it. E6000, and that's all of the buckles done so far. The only ones that I painted on the fully back. Oh, now we're doing the buckles, the holes where the little slider thing should go, so we have more adjustment. See, there's a hole right where it's supposed to meet, and you're gonna do that, and that's what it should look like. I eventually added something for the extra fabric to hold in place. But during the meantime, we're just gonna be doing a quick little try on. And make sure to puncture the hole. Eventually, I ended up doing my little eyelets, like 1/4 of an inch eyelets, just so it looked prettier. And then the rest of the other holes are just normal holes punctured into fabric. But I'm the only one who's wearing it. I haven't gone up drastically in measurements in a while, so. And I used rivets to secure everything, but during the meantime, during the try-on, I used the little fabric clips. Link in the description. And I had all the buckles faced and marked everything out. And where I marked it there, so I would know where to rivet it on for the 19-inch side piece. Now that we're doing that, we have to use the awl first to puncture the hole in, like that. I have to line everything up, mark out the center point, and trying to go through 6 layers of fabric, and then put the rivet in. And usually your rivet kits, like what a frog says, your rivet kits tend to have a little photo, better demonstrating than I can. But first you're going to puncture the hole, put the little top part of the eyelet in, and then make sure you see it on the other side. And it usually tends to come with a little thing at the bottom so you can hammer it in better. And you put the little screw top in, hammer it out, or this little top piece, and make sure to hammer it in. Don't use a mallet, use a real hammer. That's all I have at the time. And you're gonna repeat that process on all the parts that you need to do it on. And then definitely, this is a measure twice, cut once type of situation, so please do that. And make sure everything is at the same spot. And you're also, during this process, you're also going to be putting in the little upper the upper thigh buckles, the waist buckles, the waist strip buckle things, and connecting them all with the rivets. So you have some extra mobility. And that's what it should look like so far. I forgot to do the part for the upper thigh. I'm trying to figure out what I should do, and then that is when I realized the situation. I think this is the last of the rivets, and now we're doing the eyelets. And then for eyelets, it comes with a little hole puncture thing that you have to hammer in once. I did overkill to get a nice clean hole, and then you add the little thing in, and then the top piece, as you can see, it's on the tray. You put the fabric in, put the top piece in, and then hammer it out with the thing they also give. Again, your eyelets tend to come with a little diagram, not a diaphragm, but what it should look like. Use a little top piece and hammer everything out. And taking out so you have a nice, good, clean place to have proper fun. And now we're just doing the final try-ons. There's a little try-ons in here because I want to get everything prepped. And then now, since I put a little slider thing in so the fabric wouldn't just be flapping around, and I just ended up using some old black floral ribbon. And the floral ribbon is just more like stiff rather than like satin ribbon that's super nice looking, and yeah, it's just super stiff. Hot glued it in, and for the last part I also hot glued in the knife sheath, and this isn't a washable thing, and lined it up with the edge. And now it's not going to be used for a knife, it's going to be used for scissors, because why not? And I wanted to further explain the little thing to keep the fabric down. Again, it's floral ribbon. I'll link some good ones in the description box. But first I measured it out, glued it down on the back, because I figured if I had it just like a loose piece of fabric, it would not be as helpful as it could be. Glued it down on that part, glued down the other side, and there was a little bit extra, so I just folded it back and cut the rest off. And for the black, I didn't really measure it that much. Since it's black, it's gonna blend in. But that's what it looks like so far, and I painted over the white parts. You could hear my mother. Let's go horizontal. In a second, widen it up a bit.
It goes really wide.
Okay, Mr. Photographer, Mr. Videographer. One, two, three, we're filming. Go. I can still see you in frame.
I will see you. See, I played.
It's so high up that I can barely